Welcome into Sports Zone, everyone. I'm Sports Director Matt Dowell. It's a special show, y'all, because on this Tuesday night, we've got a true A-lister in the house. Mr. Chennis, the head football coach at SC State. Chennis, welcome back to the show. You know, last time you were on our set, you were the head coach at Benedict. Now you're over down in Orangeburg at SC State doing big things. We're happy to have you on our show tonight.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to be here. Welcome. I'm glad to be back.
I know.
Man. It's been a great run, man. You guys are my people over here, so it's great to be back in the studio here at Fox.
Well, we're so happy to have you on our show once again, and boy, do we have things to talk about, because not only is it your first year at SC State, Chennis, but you guys are killing it down there. You guys are 9-2 overall this season, 5-0 in the conference. You've won 8 games in a row, and now you're getting ready for this little thing called the Celebration Bowl in a couple of weeks. First of all, congratulations on what's been an unbelievable first year with the Bulldogs. And we were kind of talking about this before the show started. First year at a new program has a lot of challenges. You never really know how it's going to go, what to expect. Did you expect this type of success in your first year with SC State?
First of all, Matt, man, to God be the glory, man. And, you know, I really, truly believe that, because there's so much favor in our program. And yes, I did expect the success that we've had. When you put good people together, you know, you put a good staff together and great group of players that believe in the process of what we're doing each and every day, not only on the field, but off the field. See, in our program, we talk about holistic development, not just developing as student athletes, because that's extremely important, but developing the total man. And we show our young men every day that we care about them, we love them each and every day. And when you get young men that's believing, that's half the battle. And then when you have a little talent as well, that definitely helps the cause. But I truly believe from day one, we have a mindset here at South Carolina State that we begin with the end in mind. And we already had in mind what we wanted from the beginning. And we wanted to be playing for the national championship at the Celebration Bowl. So, again, just grateful. Kudos to my staff, to my players that believed in the process, trusted the process. We always talk about the process. It's the process over outcome. That's all we talk about is the process. Chop wood, carry water, fall in love with the process every day. And you look up, and we're getting ready to compete for the national championship.
Well, speaking of the process, you know, it started out, you took a couple losses in those first few weeks. It was 1-2 after 3 games. You lost to Georgia Southern. So from a coaching perspective, what changed after that loss to really propel you guys to 8 straight wins after that?
Well, you know, like I say, man, we challenged the team, man. You know, at the end of the day, you know, when you're building a program, you have to get the young men to believe, man. And never, at one point in time, never this whole entire season did our young men ever not believe. They believed in the process, and we knew that there was going to be ebb and flow in the season. Yeah. And it's really the change in our season really came after we beat North Carolina A&T. That was a big game, and it was a big game because it was the next game. But I challenged the team. I said, how do we attain success? Then when we attain success, how do we handle success? And then how do we maintain success? That's important. And our young men, they bought into that, and we found a way to get better each and every day and just fall in love with the process, and the process has been going 1-0 every day. If you hear me, all I ever talk about is going 1-0. Don't worry about the end goal. Don't worry about what's going to happen at the end. Just fall in love with the process of going 1-0 every day, and our young men have wholeheartedly bought into that, and they truly believe in that.
How important is that for you as a coach to have these players, some of whom were with you at Benedict, some of the staff with you at Benedict as well? How important is that for you as a coach to see some of these veterans really kind of lead the charge and believe, even with those first 2 losses, you know, at the start of the season to now? How important is that for you to have these guys who say, no matter what, we're going to believe that we're going to win today?
You know, Dan, that's half the battle. You know, when you're building a program, it's about culture as well. You know, you want to make sure that you have young men that totally believe in what you're doing and how you're doing it. And, you know, bringing coaches over with me from the last institution at Benedict College, and as well as players that already understood how we do things, how we go to class, how we sit in the first 3 rows, how we go to study hall, how we practice, and how we handle adversity. You know, it's one thing to have success, but it's also the true challenge of a man is how you handle adversity when things happen. And our young men know how to handle adversity because we've been through it all at the program that we left from. So all in all, man, I'm just grateful to be the head football coach at South Carolina State. Our young men have bought into it. But then you had to bring the young men that we brought in, but also you had to bring the young men that were already there and get them to buy in as well. So half the battle was buy-in, and our young men bought into our process, and we find ourselves right now getting ready to compete for the national championship.
Speaking of the process, I'm so interested in the coaching process because the first year at a new school and new program, you don't always see success like we're seeing with you guys. So from a coaching perspective, what's been the hardest part about year one at a new program?
Well, half the battle is buy-in. You know, you have to sell your culture. And when you're coming in as a new head football coach, you have to get a lot of different people. People think it's just about the football team, but it's getting the whole entire buy-in from the whole entire university, from the campus community, from the community of Orangeburg. Everybody has to buy into, because it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a whole entire community to build a program. And we want to build a program at South Carolina State. We don't want just a good football team. Teams win occasionally. Programs win year in and year out. And when you come into a program like South Carolina State, who's already used to winning, I mean, it's a tradition of winning. You're talking about Willie Jeffries and Buddy Pugh, man. You're talking about winning that's been going on for a long time. It was my job to bridge the gap between production and potential. You have to have potential. Yeah, we had potential all along, but we had to get productivity out of the potential that we had. And I thought we did a good job of that all in all. And we put it all together, and we find ourselves sitting in a good place right now.
You talk about the legacy of Willie Jeffries and Buddy Pugh. SC State has such a great history. How important was what Buddy left to you? How essential was that to the success you're seeing right now?
Oh, definitely. Coach Pugh, man, first of all, he's a great resource for me. Being able to have a guy that I can just go to and bounce different ideas across, man, and so much wisdom when you talk about Coach Pugh. And Coach Pugh definitely didn't leave the cupboard bare. He left some talent there. We have great leadership and young men like Aaron Smith. That's our starting middle linebacker. He's been in our program for a long time. Now he's a senior. He's had success. He's had some ups and downs throughout his whole entire career. But to be able to see a guy like him finish his career off getting ready to compete for the national championship, that brings joy to my heart. A Nick Tace, who was in the program as well. He's an All-American guy, offensive lineman for us. Guys that's been in the program, so they've seen the ups. They've played in the Celebration Bowl. They've had some down years per se. Now they're back up, and that brings joy to my heart as the head football coach to have those guys go out as winners. I always tell them, man, you get an opportunity to leave your legacy. How do you want to be remembered? And in a few days from now, on December 14th, they'll get an opportunity to leave a legacy that people will be talking about for a long time.
Speaking of the Celebration Bowl, let's get into it because actually it's kind of a waiting game right now. You don't yet know who you're going to play in Atlanta in a couple of Saturdays. Jackson State and Southern are going to duke it out for the right to play you guys. So when you look at those two programs, two really great teams, what challenges do they present to you guys for either one that you might play in a couple weekends?
Well, first and foremost, when you're playing against teams like that, the traditionally powerhouse football programs, Southern University's been winning for a long time. Jackson State's been winning for a long time. They're playing in a championship game. So obviously there are two teams, two really good football teams. But right now we're really just working on us right now. We don't know exactly who we're playing right now, but every morning when we get up, we tell our young men, let's just work on us. Let's just fall in love with the process of going 1-0 every day. We'll find out on Saturday night who will be playing on next week's Celebration Bowl. But right now, we're just working on us, just developing our fundamentals, our day one installs, just kind of going back through the bread and butter things, the things that we did early on in camp, fixing some of the problems that we may have had throughout the year, and then we're trying to get healthy. We're a banged up football team right now, so this time we're using right now is so we can take the most healthy football team that we can take down to Atlanta, Georgia when we travel down next week.
Yeah, sometimes your coaches say, they don't really like the break between the last game and the bowl game, but you're saying you're actually very grateful for it, right?
Super grateful for the break that we're having.
When we also look at Atlanta in a couple of weeks with the Celebration Bowl, the bowl experience is a real thing for these college players. Yes, it's the game, but there's also, so much activity, so many experiences for them to take in. What do you want them to get out of the experience next week? Not just game-wise, but also just being in Atlanta, part of a very historic bowl game.
I challenged our football team. I said, when you come in September, you kind of find out what kind of football team you have. And then in October, you start hitting your strides, right? So in October, if you're playing good ball, you get a chance to make it a November to remember. Yeah. And we made it a great November. We were rocking and rolling in November. And when you're playing football after Thanksgiving, and it's December, and it's that cold morning that we had this morning, and you're practicing football, that's special people. And I told them they're special to be able to have that moment. So when we go to Atlanta, I want them to enjoy the student athlete experience, man. You know, we're going to get a chance to tour the College Football Hall of Fame. We're going to get an opportunity to do so many things in Atlanta, but the main thing has to be the main thing.
Yeah.
It is a business trip. We are going to be focused on the task at hand. We're going to make sure we get good meetings. We're going to get good practice time. We're going to get opportunities to be able to bond as a football team. But the main thing is the main thing. When that ball kicks off at 12 noon on December 14th, we got to make sure that we have South Carolina State University Bulldogs ready to rock and roll. Because, again, the main thing is to come back to Orangeburg, South Carolina, 1-0.
Chennis, every time you're here, I just get fired up. I'm like ready to go. I'm ready to put on the jersey and head out there and play for you. But before we go, is there anything else you'd like to add about your team this season, the Celebration Bowl next week? I'll leave the floor to you.
Well, first of all, I'm super excited just to even be there. You know, it's grateful to be able to have an opportunity to compete for a national championship. You know, like I told our guys, how do you want to be remembered? And I want Bulldog Nation, wherever you are, to go ahead and get your trip plane to Atlanta. I want to pack out that Mercedes-Benz stadium, and our young men deserve to look up there and see that garnet and blue, you know, packing the house. Bulldog Nation has spoiled me. You know, when we play home games, I mean, we're playing in front of amazing crowds, great support from Bulldog Nation. I just want you to come out and show your support to these young men that work so hard. They work so hard not only on the field that you see every day, but they're crushing it in the classroom as well. They're crushing it as human beings. We're winning games, but we're winning souls. So Bulldog Nation, come on out. Come to Atlanta. We're super excited. Can't wait to get there. Can't wait to see your faces in the place. And let's get ready to come back to Orangeburg, South Carolina, 1-0 and national champions.
I have a feeling you're going to have a lot of fans down there in Atlanta next Saturday. Either way, Jackson State or Southern, it's going to be a great game next Saturday, December 14th, down in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons. So an NFL stadium experience for these guys as well, which is pretty amazing. Chennis, thank you so much for coming on our show. It's always real, man. He's one of my favorite people. We appreciate it, and good luck next week. We're going to be covering as the Bulldogs go for the Celebration Bowl National Champions. Chennis Berry, everyone, again, thank you so much for coming on Sports Zone tonight. It's time for a timeout here on Sports Zone, but when we come back, the college football playoff rankings being released tonight, the newest rankings that is, are the Gamecocks in the top 12? We'll discuss next on Sports Zone.